Okay, good morning. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, we'll continue with the shuffle frog leaping algorithm. We have started this algorithm in last class. So uh, this topic just we have started in the last class, mapping mimetic evolution of frogs to the shuffle frog leaping algorithm. So we are actually discussing what is meme. So uh, meme is a basically spreading information template that affects human and animal minds and changes their behavior. I think we have discussed this point. I have given some example. That's like a listening some song, and if we remember it, and again we'll listen that song and we'll share with our friends. So like that, that is a kind of meme. So memes are spread by by those who possess them. A pattern is known as a meme whenever an idea or information template influences someone and the template is repeated or transmitted to someone else. Otherwise, the pattern is not a meme. So notice that all transmitted information is called the memetic. Examples of the memes are songs, ideas, catchphrases, then clothing, fashions, and techniques for making pots or building arts. So this point we have discussed. Now this is a mimetic algorithm. Now based on this meme concept, a mimetic algorithm which derives from meme is a population-based method to solve the optimization problem. So Yusuf in 2006, actually he has proposed this particular mimetic algorithm, and it is proposed that this particular algorithm can, or this kind of optimization problem can be solved with the help of this mimetic optimization technique. Now, the shuffle frog leaping technique, it is one of them. Okay, we'll see in detail. So each meme contains memotypes that resembles the genes or chromosomes. So we have seen in the genetic algorithm, there is a gene or chromosome. Right? Basically, if you see the any living beings, the genes or the chromosome, this is the basically main characteristic which is actually transmitted to the next generation or the next population. So ultimately, the heredity in the next generation will be continued. Similarly, in the this memetic algorithm, the meme is the basically characteristic. This characteristic is transmitted to the next population, so that this is similar to a genes or chromosomes in genetic algorithm. Now, these memes spread through the meme pool as they move from brain to brain. Okay. Now, genes and memes scatter from one individual to another in various ways, and their purposes are different. So we know that these genes and memes, they are basically similar in nature. Genes normally we used to apply in genetic algorithm. Now, memes concept, it is applied in this memetic algorithm. Okay, memetic optimization algorithm. Now, memes are used basically for increased communicability among their host, described as frogs in the shuffle frog leaping algorithm. So here, this memes, this is basically an information which is basically shared among the other participants. So in the shuffle frog leaping algorithm also, the information here, shuffle frog leaping algorithm, frog is the main concentration. Okay, so frog is basically transmitting the information where is the location of the food. Okay, and based on that location, the other frogs will try to reach that location. So that is the basically the concept of communicability among among their host. So genes transmit. So any question from anyone? Anyone want? You have any doubt? Okay. Now this genes transmit DNA characteristic from parents to offspring. So this is basically a very simple kind of thing. We know that this DNA, this DNA normally it is a through the genes from parents to the offspring. That means the next child or the next generation. This is basically transmitted. So Yusuf and other scientists, they have actually stated that memetic and genetic evolutions are subjected to the same basic principle. So we need to understand that in genetic algorithm, the genes are the basically main characteristic which is transmitted through the DNA in the next population or the next offspring. And in case of this memetic algorithm, memetic evolutionary algorithm, normally this meme or the information it is shared in the next in the population or the within the population it is shared. So meme and this gene, these two things are basically the same kind. We have to understand. Oh, my slide is not changing. You cannot see.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir. Slide is not changing.
Okay, so you should tell me at the beginning. Okay, otherwise you will miss. I should again share. Now, is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, visible.
Okay, so it may happen because of this Zoom. I don't know, but what is happening? But immediately you should point out. Okay. So the reason that the genes, yet the memetic evolution is much more flexible mechanism than the genetic evolution. In genetic evolution, the electrical engineering student, they have studied in the last semester. We have seen that there are several processes, like in the genetic algorithm, the mutation, then crossover, selection. So those process it was there, and it is little bit a complicated process compared with this memetic algorithm. So memetic evolution, it is a comparatively, it is a flexible mechanism and it is easy to handle. So we'll see that with the steps of this, what is the Shuffle Frog leaping algorithm, gradually will proceed. Will not directly tell you that this is the actual process. So you will not understand. You will think that this is basically the mathematical equation. So what is the actual thought process and from where we should actually got these things. So we should understand the basic philosophy of this particular algorithm. So the reason that the genes can only be transferred from parents to offspring and are transmitted between generations. So what is the reason? Reason is basically, in case of genetic algorithm, basically these genes are transmitted from parents to the offspring. So within the same population, same generation, there is no change will occur. In the next generation, we can expect something. But in case of this memetic evolution, these memes or the information about the food, information about the actual location of the optimum size or the optimum basically position, that can be determined with the help of this memetic algorithm. It is very quickly. Okay, so we'll see how it can be done. So meaning that their propagation through their higher algorithm may take several years to propagate. That is in case of genetic algorithm. Now, memes on the other hand can theoretically be transformed between any two individuals and can be transmitted within minutes. So a frog, let us say the best frog among the whole population, if that particular frog has got some source of food, and that information will be immediately shared among other inmates within that memeplex. Okay, so that's why it is very, very easy to transmit this particular information within the same population. So the process becomes very faster, because if the information is shared among other frogs, so other frogs will try to reach that particular optimum place. So gene replication is restricted by the relatively small number of offspring from a single parent, whereas the number of individuals that can take over a mean from a single individual is almost unlimited. So this is very, very important. The gene replication, it is very, very a restricted process where from a single parent, whereas the transmission of this information, transmission of this basically memetic process, it is very from a single individual to the multiple inmates. That is very faster. So this process becomes obviously it is a faster kind of algorithm. Therefore, the meme spreading is much faster than the gene spreading. This is basically comparative analysis. So if you have been asked that why this memetic algorithm process, it is faster than the genetic algorithm process, the reason is clearly explained here. What is the reason that why this memetic algorithm process or the shuffle frog leaping algorithm process is faster than the genetic algorithm process? Now think of a group of frogs living in a swamp. Okay, in a let us say a place where let us say a group of frogs are there. There are stones at different locations throughout the swamp. So normally these frogs are located in a rough field. Okay, where many stones are there. So they need to jump. Okay, when they are searching for food, they will jump from one place to the other place. So frogs want to find the stone with the maximum amount of available food as fast as possible. Because when they are hungry, every living beings, they will always search for the food. Okay. So when they are searching for the food, obviously they will see that they will give the minimum effort so that they can reach the actual location of the food. So the maximum amount of food where it is located, they will try to find out within the shortest span of path. Okay. So that means they actually want to get the food within the shortest path. So for this purpose, they improve their means. So obviously, what has to be done? If let us say they are searching, because this animal, the behavior, they are not that much selfish as the human beings. If we find something, so we'll keep within ourselves. Okay, so we'll not share this information. But in case of these living beings, they will always share this information with other inmates. So that finally what will happen, other inmates will get also this location of this food, and they will always try to reach that particular maximum food location. So that is the basically that's why these animals, they are always working in a group. Their group behavior, it is very predominant. So for this purpose, they improve their means. So they always share memes means that is the information. They always share this information among their inmates. So the frogs interact with each other and develop their means by exchanging information. So always they will share with their own language. They will share that this is the location of the food. So we should, all of us, we should try to reach that particular location. So frogs change their position by adjusting their leaping step size based on the development of memes. So when they have to reach that particular location, so they need to jump from one location to the other location. So what they will do, they have to jump. So that's why their step size is always, it is changing. So they sometimes they will jump with a lesser step size, sometimes they will jump with a higher greater amount of step size. So this will always change, okay, depending upon the location, depending upon the actually the distance from their actual location. So their step size will always change. So the SFLA acts as an MA that progresses by transforming frogs in the memetic evolution. So this shuffle frog leaping algorithm, it acts as a memetic algorithm. Why it is memetic algorithm? Because the frogs, they are exchanging this information within their groups. So the memetic evolution process is, it is if this information, any information within the same population, if it is shared within very faster rate, so the ultimately all the living beings, if they are searching for the food, they will get those foods within very short span of time. So individual frogs of the SFLA are host for memes and are represented by a means of memetic vector. Now, each individual frog, they are the actually member of that particular evolutionary process. So each frog, they have some contribution towards this reaching to the optimum value. So made up of a number of memotypes, each meme attributed to a frog is a solution of an optimization problem, while memotypes are the decision variables and resembles the genes of a chromosome in the genetic algorithm. So we need to understand what is memotype and what is meme. Meme means it is the information, and each meme here, it is basically attributed to a frog. So frog is the carrying that particular information. So that's why that meme is carried by the frog. So they are the actual information carrier. Whereas the memotypes, memotype means the location. So location where these frogs are actually shifted from one by one. So there is a process for that. So we need to understand these memotypes. It is basically similar to a genes of a chromosome in the genetic algorithm. So if we compare that, what is the genetic algorithm process and what is this memetic algorithm process, these are the two similar things. A set of frogs represents a population of solution. So every frog, they are the basically the solution of any. We have to assume these frogs are basically possible solution of any population. That means if let us say you have a problem, fx equal to x1 square plus x2 square, and let us say you are assuming 10 population. So that means each population you have a 2 frogs, x1 and x2. So these x1 and x2 they are the basically frogs, and you have a 10 set of population. That means this process will continue for 10 generation. So 1, 2, 3. So each population you have a 2 number of frogs. So like that, this whole process will continue. The population of possible solution is partitioned into subsets that are called the memplexes. So what we'll do, this population, let us say these 10 number of frogs are there. Now they are locating in a different colony. So we are dividing this whole partition, this whole solution into different partitions. So these different partitions are basically this location of this particular frogs. So each meme is the unit of cultural evolution. So each meme means every frog, they are the basically carrier of the information. So when they are actually assembled in a memplex, so they are the actually unit of the cultural evolution. So the term memplex is introduced to mark a group of mutually supporting memes that form an organized belief system such as a religion or scientific theory. So each frog culture or memplex evolved towards a goal. So obviously they are searching for a goal. So when they are searching for a goal, they will actually goal means they are actually searching for the food. So they are developing their information. They are carrying this information, or they are sharing their information within each memplex. And this within this memplex it is the location or the colony of all the frogs. So frog leaping improves an individual meme and enhances its performance towards the goal. So individual meme, they are always trying to improve their own performance, and finally they will try to reach towards the actual goal. So within each memplex, the frogs are influenced by other frogs' ideas. So this is very, very important. The sharing of information, exchanging information. Hence, they experience a memetic evolution. So obviously, because of this exchanging of the information, there is a evolutionary process, and the whole process is basically known as the memetic evolution. So information is passed between the memplexes in a shuffling process according to the memetic evolutionary steps. So we'll understand what is memetic evolutionary steps. So basically, within a memplex, there are a number of frogs are there, and each memplex you have there are multiple number of memplexes are also present. So within each memplex, the frogs will share their information, and between two memplexes also the sharing of information is also carried. So that means there is a whole process. There is a change of information between each frog from one colony to the other colony, and within the colony also. So that means there is a concept of local search. There is a concept of global search. When this information is shared between all colonies, it is a kind of global search. When you are basically concentrating a particular memplexes, that is basically a local search. So this kind of behavior it is actually observed. So the SFLA starts the optimization process by randomly generating a set of frog memes, each of which is a solution of the optimization problem. So initially we'll generate a random number, okay, random solutions, random set of frogs. So that is basically we'll assume that initially these are the solution of the optimization problem. So all the initially generated frogs or the solutions are classified into several memplexes. So within that each memplex, there will be a number of frogs will be there. So, so each frog is assigned to one memplex. So how they are assigned, we'll see that thing. So there are, let us say, you are assuming a 10 number of frogs or 10 number of solutions, possible solutions. So each frog will go to a particular memplex. How we are sending those frogs into a particular memplex, there is a particular process for that. So we'll understand that process step by step. So these memplexes allow evolving independently by searching the solution space in different directions. So it is basically a random process. So what will happen? Each memplexes will be allowed to evolve independently. How independently? Because there will be exchange of information between the two memplexes, exchange of information within the memplexes. So each frog will grow, and also the memplex will also grow. The information is then passed between memplexes in a shuffling process. So this is a kind of shuffling. What shuffling we are doing, we'll see that. Why it is a shuffling, why it is a shuffle frog leaping algorithm. We'll understand that. So the search for the optimal solution by the memplexes continues after shuffling. The searches by the memplexes and the shuffling process continue until the defined termination criteria is satisfied. So this whole searching process or the shuffling process will continue till the end of the termination criteria, because always in any optimization algorithm, we are supposed to give a maximum number of iteration cycle. So that maximum number of iteration cycle is basically the termination criteria. Now, creating first step of any optimization algorithm, it is the creating an initial population. So this is the first step of this shuffle frog leaping algorithm also. So each possible solution of the optimization problem is called a frog in the shuffle frog leaping algorithm. So in the particle sum optimization, what was the possible solution? Who can tell? In particle sum optimization, anyone can tell? Anyone? Anyone can tell? What was the actually possible solution in case of particle sum optimization? Who can tell? Initially, what was the actually, here we are assuming frog as the solution, but in case of particle sum optimization, what is the possible solution? Anyone? Particle sum optimization concept, it is evolved based on which theory, which animal beings?
Bird, sir, bird.
Bird or?
Frog.
Frog.
Not frog. Particle sum optimization, it is not frog. It is fish. Birds and fishes. Fish schooling. I have told you that time. Yes or no?
Yes, fish.
Fish and bird. So behavior of bird and fish, these two behaviors are imitated. Okay. So similarly, in case of the shuffle frog leaping algorithm, we are imitating the behavior of the frogs. So each solution or the frog contains n decision variables or memotypes when solving an n-dimensional optimization problem. So here, initially, what we'll do, we'll assume there are n number of possible solutions, because see, when you are starting a problem, so unless you assume something, you cannot proceed with the problem. So we need to assume some possible solution. That solutions may not be correct. That those solutions will be, actually we will get some different kind of solutions after the final iteration process. But initially you are supposed to give some input data. So input data means those are the initial solutions. If you are not giving those input data, you cannot proceed with the algorithm. Okay. So a solution or frog is represented as an array of size 1 cross n. So initially we'll assume n number of, let us say, decision variables. 1 cross n means there are 1 row, n columns. Okay. So that means we will assume, let us say, the possible solutions are n number. N may be anything. This n may be anything. So I will just describe something here. So for example, you are assuming you have a problem. Let us say fx equal to x1 square plus 3x2 plus 4 sine x3 plus, let us say, 3 e to the power x4 into sine x5. So you are supposed to solve this problem, for example. And let us say each variable, it is limited between some minimum value and some maximum value. You have been asked that you solve this problem. You calculate this similarly for x1, x4, and x5. Okay. So you have to calculate what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value. So if you have to solve this problem with the help of pen and paper, it will be a difficult thing, and you can solve, but the time, whatever it will take, that will be more, and you may not get the actual solution. Okay. So in these cases, in this type of problem, what we will do? So here we'll assume, let us say, how many decision variables we have to take? Who can tell? How many decision variables we have to take so that this function is optimum or minimum or maximum? How many decision variables? Please tell me. How many decision variables we are supposed to take? How many variables are there?
So maybe 3.
Why 3? Please tell me. Why 3?
Sir, one is for minimum, one is for maximum, and one is for optimum.
No. Actually, how many variables are there? x1, x2, x3, x4, x5. You have 5 variables? Yes or no? You have 5 variables.
Yes, sir.
So these 5 variables, it is ranging from some minimum value and some maximum value. Okay. Every variable, it has some limit. Okay. So basically you have a 5 number of variables which is bounded between some minimum value and maximum value. So we can say there are 5 variables: x1, x2, x3, x4, x5. So when we'll initialize this, so that time we'll take these 5 variables. Is it clear now? So let us say this x1 is between 1 and 2. This is between 2 and 3. This is 3 and 4. This is 4 and 5. This is 5 and 6, for example. So initially, randomly you have to take. These values will be chosen randomly. So this will be where, let us say you are taking 1.5. This is 2.2. This is 3.4. This is 4.8. This is 5.1. Okay. So this initially you are assuming, and then you will start your iteration process, because unless and until you have a initial value, you cannot start any problem. Now it is clear. Is it clear to all of you? What is the initialization steps? Is it clear? If you have not understood, please tell me that I have not understood. I will repeat it. But you have to, if you have understood, then please tell me that yes, I have understood. Hello?
Understood, sir.
Okay. So that you should tell. Promptly you should tell, yes, we have understood it. Then I can proceed. Otherwise, I will not be able to proceed it. Okay. So this array is as follows. So you see x1, x2 up to xn. So here in the problem which I have shown, there are 5 number of variables. So you have x1, x2, x3, x4, x5. So those are the basically frogs. So whatever value you are initially assuming, those values are basically your frogs. They are those values are basically the starting value, the initial value. So where x equal to a possible solution frog of the optimization problem. Now xi is the ith decision variable memo type of the solution x. So x is the memo type, means a location, a colony where all frogs are actually located. So if you just take the similar kind of thing here, just a minute. If you take this thing, so this is a colony where all these frogs are located. Okay, this is a colony. This is a colony kind of thing. So where this is a, let us say x consists of 5 number of variables. So this x is a memo type or memplex. We'll say this is a memplex, and these are actually your frogs. Each this x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, these are basically your frogs. Now, can you make the similarity? Can you understand what is this memplex? What is this frog or meme? Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So n is the number of decision variables. The decision variables values are x1, x2, x3 up to xn designate the memo types. So it is basically a memo type. Now the SFLA begins with the random generation of a matrix of size m cross n, where m and n denote the size of population of solution and the number of decision variables respectively. So we have seen m is the number of population and n is the number of decision variables. So what is the kind of thing which we'll understand first? So I have taken these values. Okay. So this is your fast population. So like that you have, this is, let us say, your fast population. So I will show you now. So let us say you have a 5 variables, x1, x2, then this is x3, this is x4, and this is your x5. Now your number of population, it is, let us say, you are taking from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So initially this value, let us say whatever value we have taken, I will take 1.5, 2.2, 1.5. This is 1.5, then 2.2, then next value is 3.4, 4.8, 5.1, 3.4, 3.4, then 4.8, and this is 5.1. So this is your fast population. Try to understand this thing. This is your fast population. Then second population, you are assuming something 1.7, 2.1, 3.2, 4.3, 5.3. So like that, you will have initially you need to fill up this particular kind of matrix. So this is your m cross n matrix. So what is m? Who can tell? M is what? Rows, number of rows. So what is rows? Rows designate for which parameter?
x1, x2.
So rows means what? Row means what? Is population. Row is your population. Yes or no? Row is your population and column is your variables. So this is your, n is your decision variables. Is it clear now? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Number of population and n is your number of decision variables. Decision variables means these are each frog. The number of frogs you are trying to optimize. Okay. If you have not understood, please tell me. The matrix of solution generated randomly is presented as follows. Each row contains the decision variables of a solution of frog, and there are m rows. M rows means these are basically number of population. So here you see the similar kind of thing, how we'll generate this population. From x1 to xn, these are x11, x12, x1j, x1n. So that means these are basically your frogs or the number of decision variables. And these are your basically number of population. So row basically designate the population size and column basically designate the number of decision variable. Is it clear to all of you? This is very, very important. Because if you know the initialization step, then you can proceed with the next step. Okay or not? Yes?
Yes, sir.
So what has to be done? What has to be done? This is the thing is that we need to understand one thing. If in any Shuffle Frog Leaping algorithm, you are trying to start your problem, then your number of rows will designate your number of population and number of columns will designate your number of decision variables. So you, in the next class, let us say, you will take this particular, you will generate a similar kind of thing in the MATLAB and you will share in this with me. Okay. This kind of table you will just generate, okay, with the help of MATLAB. Can you do it? Okay, let us say you will generate 10 cross 5 matrix with this initial set of values. Can you generate? So next class I will see this thing. Next class I will see this thing. Okay. You use your MATLAB, okay. Use the command that is rand function, rand1, and if you have a decision variables within some range, so that you have to multiply. So if it is between 2 to 3, so you multiply 3 into random 1. So you will get a value within 3. Okay. So normally what we'll do, what normally we'll do, that is lower bound plus rand1 into upper bound. Sorry, this is upper bound. So this way actually we generate any number, random number between some minimum value and some maximum value. Okay. So next class we'll continue with this. Now let me take your attendance. Because if you apply, then you can understand this thing. You can take help of any internet sources also if you want to consult. I mean, I will not mind, but please try to develop it. Then you can understand and you can actually implement in your problem.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir. Mario available in college or not, sir?
Which one?
Mario, sir. On board real time embedded control. Mario, sir.
You discuss it in your department. You talk to your HOD. Or from which department?
Electrical, sir.
Electrical. You talk to Pansar. Okay. You talk to Pansar.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So next class we'll see the further steps, but the initialization at least you try to develop. Okay. Then we'll see. We'll proceed with the next step. Okay. Thank you to all of you. We'll close this meeting. And your syllabus will be till Shuffle Frog Leaping algorithm. Okay. Till Shuffle Frog Leaping algorithm. Okay. Particle sum optimization and Shuffle Frog Leaping algorithm. These two things will be there, whatever we have discussed. Okay. Okay.